Hello everyone, welcome back to the Talos Principle Reawakened. Last time we did World 7 and 6 and listened to all the developer commentary from the rest of the worlds, found some stars. Today we're going into World 5 and then we will skedaddle. Or maybe we'll check in here. Actually, do we have enough stars for this? We need 4 more. Alright. We do, however, have enough of these for this. Let's actually go in here and do this first. Having trouble. Yes, my favorite puzzles of them all. I mean, it's not corners like that. What else could it be? It could not be there. Could be there. There? Or like this? Here, no. Maybe it's the other way around? Wait, how did I do this? It's not symmetrical, right? Or is it? Ah yes, the most fun puzzles of all. Here we go. I made it! Is this messenger aisle? Alright, this would be messenger aisle. And one of you commented on episode 2. Thank you very much that,
Those who have
you don't need stars.
Mysteries of my garden may
You
come
needed to find
serve
an
me
axe
as
in like
blessed
World 2 or
messengers.
something.
You walk now in their abode. Be respectful, for their service is born from the love that transcends death. And their love is for you also.
Yeah, the messengers being the ultra completionists.
I look at this inert shape and I wonder, who
Is
you're
it a
gonna
cradle?
be. Will you hold the same values as we do? Will you love us for having created you? Will you resent us for having put you into an uncertain and dangerous world? Looking back at our history, our achievements, our crimes, what will you make of us? Will the world you create be like ours or so different that we can't even imagine it? Either way, I hope that you'll find this little blue planet to be as beautiful as we did. I hope you'll take care of it a lot better than we did. And I hope one day you'll look up and reach for the stars.
Foreshadowing. Well, how would we ever get over there? Well, it's a riddle. You take a leap of faith from the lion's head. And there it is. This is not so... I thought the star was usually more visible the first time around, I think. I don't know, I don't think I'll do this world. It's not necessary, and it's just repeating puzzles from before. I'm looking around to see if there's any... Oh, hey, there is. Or no, that's a laser. Looking around to see if there's any dev commentary. Not seeing any. Lots of Tetramino puzzles, which you all know are my favorite. But yeah, I mean, Talos Principle 2, that's the big question, right? What world will we create? And then Talos 3 is basically confirmed. There's no, like, no comments on when it'll be released. I mean, we can expect, like, 5 to 10 years, probably. But yeah, they're making Talos Principle 3. Alright, and World 5.
I see all. I know all. My power knows no bounds. And yet your will is free, because you were made to be free. It is the very principle of your existence, without which the trials of this world would hold no meaning. To seek salvation must be your choice.
Okay, just tell me what the whole point of the simulation is. I mean, well, no, that's just the check. It's not the point of it. The point of it is to generate AI who think and behave like humans, and are conscious and perceive like humans. Also, how could you see all, you know all? Have you ever heard the phrase, "The limits of my language are the limits of my world"? You gotta think outside the language. Think outside the words. The words are not everything. I didn't know there was weather in this game. AI citizenship. Once a true artificial intelligence has been created, the issue of citizenship is going to come up. If we acknowledge that the AI has all the abilities of a human brain, should it not be considered a citizen? Is it not, in the legal sense of the word, a person, and thus a potential citizen? But where do you draw the line? Some people will object. Will the great apes become citizens? Elephants? Whales? The more intelligent parrot species? It's crazy, they will say. I would remind these people that we live in a society in which a corporation, as abstract an entity as one could imagine, is considered a person. So it's not like there is no precedent for a non-human being as a person. At least an artificial intelligence is an actual thinking being, not just a business arrangement. But perhaps we need to question the definition of personhood. Increasing amounts of evidence regarding the intelligence of elephants or the existence of culture among whales, for example, could be a sign that we need to answer some difficult questions. Who better to debate these questions with than the young genius who revolutionized the... Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. For the longest time, we as humans have seen animals and ourselves as like completely separate categories, just like the animals and then humans above us, or above animals. And in most human cultures, there were multiple tiers of humans too, and sometimes to some people in some subcultures there still are. Yeah. But the more we learn about other species, and also the more that we experiment with AI technology, the more we realize that we're not just that scale doesn't make sense. It's more like an infinite dimensional skill tree, right? So instead of like creating something that's as intelligent, it's like we create an AI, a computer program that is as intelligent as a fly, as intelligent as a dog, as intelligent as a whale, and it's like going up. No, that's not how it is. It's a many-dimensional skill tree. And what do we have right now for AIs? We have chatbots that can scan information and put sentences together that are grammatically correct and convey information. They're not anything like humans, except for and it also depends on what they're created for and trained for, right? So like I brought up before, Neurosama and Evil Neuro, who are AIs trained and created, that they're chatbots trained and created to be Twitch entertainers and to just entertain millions of people on Twitch. And of all the AIs I've seen, which is not very many, they feel the most human to me. But also, they feel the most like Twitch entertainers to me, right? And so they're just on some level, they are fake Twitch entertainers that just fake it really, 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 really well, right? But on the other hand, they may be the closest thing, at least that I know of, there are probably many others, but the closest AI thing that we have to an actual person-like entity. And, yeah, but like ChatGPT, absolutely not. Nothing human-like about ChatGPT. And, so, like animals being a million branch skill tree, AI also will be a million branch skill tree. And so it's not just a level of it's not just a matter of making an AI advanced enough to be human-like. We have to craft it to be, we have to craft it in all of its dimensions to be human-like. And yeah. So I feel like this document, although it's good and important, I feel like this document may not have aged particularly well. But yeah, AI citizenship, it's like, I mean, we're not making AI humans, we're making AI entities, AI beings. They're not human intelligence, they're alternate intelligence. And it's like, well, it's really gonna mess up our concept of what a person is if AIs can like have consciousness and feelings but are not, like, don't organize the world anyway near the way that we do. And so treating them as humans, it's like, but like they don't have, like, they're not humans, I feel like I'm not saying it the way that I want to say, but the real point here is like the idea of the million-dimensional skill tree, right? That we're not making humans, we're making things that are different from us. But we could make artificial humans if that was our goal and we understood ourselves well enough to know how to do it. Alright, L, short for Extended Lifespan, is a groundbreaking initiative by 7 leading universities to create the world's most stable and most durable supercomputer. With its custom-made hardware, bomb-proof casing, and near-inexhaustible hydroelectric power supply, L represents a unique step forward in the evolution of human technology. The brainchild of Nobel Prize nominee Dr. Arkady Chernyshevsky. Athena 8. So we confirmed in the devlogs that this is, in fact, a fictional book. You must consider these riddles, the Sphinx said, and tell me the riddle that I did not reveal. The Sphinx smiled, the gears in her jaw creaking, her teeth a nightmare of rust. Her left eye flickered, but none of its terror diminished. The ruins were silent, and I think, she finally said, that the riddle you did not reveal is this. Why do these riddles exist in the first place? Why do these curious automatons, these mute children of Hephaestus, behave as they do, forcing me to devise these intricate solutions? Each is a riddle, but the greater riddle is their purpose. The Sphinx did not answer. Her eyes were lifeless now. Athena removed it from its socket, knowing its power would aid her, yet feeling also a deep sorrow at the passing of this fearful creature. Yeah, so not what are the solutions to the puzzles, but why do the puzzles exist? There's something more important afoot. And that's the story. It's also the question, not only what is the story, but why is this the story being told? And that's a question you have to write if you want to be a writer, like me. Sorry, that's...
Whoops.
That sounded so like, oh, I'm so great, I'm a writer. I have not published any books yet, and I am not even close, so don't take that as a... I just meant that as I have thought about that question. That is all I meant by that.
strikes me about Croteam's initial narrative design pitch is really how good it is and how close to the final game it is. Really, all of that stuff that they had in mind before I came on made it to the final game. So full credit to Croteam on that. They really did half our jobs for us on this. And I mean, I shouldn't give them too much credit. Like, I always say half the success I've had in my career is because I picked the right games. And as soon as I saw this email, I was like, I was very lucky to receive this email. They want to do some cool things, and I can do some cool stuff with it. The graffiti is something that Croteam was always pushing pretty hard, and it was, I think, the last thing we did as writers in the whole game. I think neither of us were that keen to do it, but I actually enjoyed it once I started doing it. I did, I think, probably 2/3 of those, and it did become fun. But it's challenging when you're writing like a lot of different characters with only short little bits for each one to really capture a thing. But what Croteam knows, I think, is and they said exactly the same thing. We went through the same process on the second game. Is you need layers of narrative. You need the terminals, you need the voice, you need the graffiti. So there's always something different around the corner. That's very important in these kinds of games. The other thing I noticed is how I'd totally forgotten. You know, it's now like more than 10 years later. I'd forgotten how much of Milton really existed before I came on. The idea of this computer terminal that's sort of psychoanalyzing you and asking you questions and reflecting your choices back at you and confusing you and so forth. That was already there. I think I certainly made it my own. I think my Milton would never agree that anything was a compelling argument for a theory. So I did make him my own, but yeah, that plan was already there. And the other thing I noticed is that quite a lot of the key stuff that Jonas did isn't in this design, funnily enough, although I think he better understood and better cohered to what Croteam wanted to do than I did. The stuff that he did, writing ELOHIM and Alexandra and so forth, the voice stuff, that wasn't in the plan, and he really wanted to do that voice stuff. I really didn't. I was quite excited to be doing dialogue trees, and he brought that all himself. And you know, there would be no Talos without Jonas, or certainly not as successful and heartfelt and special as it is.
Yeah, great thanks to both of these writers. Yeah, for me, for my custom campaign, I wanted there to be voice. I wanted to do a voice acting thing, but like, clearly they obviously cannot allow custom audios because players would abuse the hell out of that. So, yeah, we'll have to do it with just terminals. Anyway, I saw the stuff in here. I think something's very wrong. If you'd seen what I'd seen at the edges of the world, you'd wonder if it wasn't stretching and bursting at the seams. I kept calling him version 17, but we're all versions, right? And Jonas said that the name is as a reference to something. You guys heard. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I was stretching and bursting at the seams. Kind of like if you learn physics and you get up to the level of quantum physics, that kind of feels like it stretching and bursting for this world too, but in a different way, right? It's an the uncertainty principle is not at all like glitches or fuzziness, and even quantum tunneling where a particle can get from somewhere to somewhere else that it doesn't have enough energy to get through the barrier between. When you understand the math of quantum physics, it's like, oh yeah, of course it would be able to do that. There's nothing like, oh, spooky, oh no, that's so strange. No, it's just, it's not a particle. It's a wave that interacts with probability. And if you understand the math of that, it's a lot less spooky than most people think. Some parts of it are still spooky a little bit, but it's very much not This ladder goes nowhere. Very much not like glitches in the Matrix or anything like that.
We took a lot of inspiration from the real world when designing objects. The terminals, they were made to resemble very early personal computers from the 80s. For example, Jammer and Connector, they were influenced and inspired by geosurvey.
What does that say? You want to tell me?
The mines, both black and white, they were based on some real military and naval mines, and other elements like elevator buttons, fans, QR codes, and objects that are hidden in secret areas. They were either replicas or were heavily influenced by real-world items.
Yeah, definitely believable. There's 2 stars here. Put this one on.
It's going to be a little bit hard to condense all of the themes in this game, so I'm not really going to try. I'm going to talk about some of them. The idea from the beginning was to create something very rich and sort of elusive that could be interpreted on a lot of levels and that had many connections, kind of reaching out into the world of philosophy and art and literature, and that would, yeah, allow you to immerse yourself and then maybe also seek out some other things, and that would just give you this feeling that you're surrounded by all these ideas. And as such, of course, it contains a lot of things, some of which it explores in detail and some of which are explored less. The most central theme probably is just materialism as expressed through the Talos Principle itself. So are we machines? And if we are machines, how do we find meaning and purpose in life if there is no soul, no God, no anything, or even if there is a God, but he created us this way? So there are a lot of different answers, and the series does present different answers. Like various characters have different ideas about, you know, how to live with this, or whether this is even correct or not. But I do think that what the series itself is kind of not pushing on you, but it is a central theme of the entire series through its most important characters, is that we can find meaning in humanity, in our common history, and in civilization and its achievements. That's a very strong theme also in Talos Principle 2, but it starts in Talos Principle 1, particularly in the form of Alexander Drennan. Another important theme, in addition to materialism and this kind of humanist answer to that, is syncretism, the idea that our cultures and our religions, anything, our language, or even our DNA, all of these things are not pure and authentic and monolithic, but they're made up of many different parts and influences. So the game itself is an example of that, right? It combines this kind of Greco-Roman aspect and this Egyptian aspect and then Christian beliefs and all kinds of literary traditions and things into one thing. And that doesn't mean that any of these things aren't important, that they're not meaningful. In fact, it's the opposite. It's that human civilization is something that we build together, and that's a process that doesn't have borders. What sometimes nowadays gets called cultural appropriation, I would say, is in fact a fundamentally human act of immense importance, because that is how we create both ourselves and our language and the world that surrounds us.
Yeah, amazing stuff. The themes of cultural evolution and finding meaning in the world as it is, not feeling like we have to change or deny the world as it is to have meaning in it, but to find meaning in the world as it is, whether that be and materialism is a lens, right? It's a valid lens. It's not the only lens, and it's not the whole story. You know, there's other things. There's abstract ideas. There's morality and kindness and love and hatred and fear and all those things, which are, I mean, if you think of them through a material lens, it's like chemicals in our brains and hormones, which is like I mean, that's what we're made of materially, but that's not what fear and love and hope and meaning are. And I do feel like Talos 2 goes beyond materialism in a few ways, with the DLC on love and the whole like finding like patterns of dead people in the machine, like, and then reviving them. That is definitely beyond materialism. You could say though, oh, it's just materialism but advanced, and I say, well, yeah, that's beyond materialism and taking ideas from other traditions and combining them together to have a clearer picture of reality. Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point. It's not like, oh, one tradition won and the rest are shown to be false. It's like, no. We found good things from all of them and combined them together to synthesize something even wiser and more closer to truth. And then also, like, the line about cultural appropriation, I feel like a lot of people just don't understand what cultural appropriation is and when it's good and when it's bad. It's good when it's respectful, and it is bad when it is disrespectful, basically. The more I converse with these terminals, the more I wonder what role they play in this contraption. How do you tell friend from foe when no obvious lines are drawn between the two? A sheep. So one example of when when cultural appropriation is disrespectful is when a conquering or colonizing nation or power or empire takes the cultures of the people they conquer or colonize and then use them to prop themselves up in their way of living. So it's bad because it's a power thing. It's because it's taking sacred ideas of somebody and making them unsacred and presenting them as in service of the empire or the colonizers. That's when cultural appropriation is really bad. So, but if it's just like you're traveling and you find something cool about another culture or another philosophy and you incorporate it into your own life and are influenced by it and expand on it, that's awesome. You know, that's great.
I was in school when I first read about the Talos Principle. I think it disturbed me at the time, made me hyper-aware of
Did I miss one of them?
my body as a physical object, the material reality of the brain. Ideas that made me uncomfortable at first, but I think in the long run, it helped me understand how frail human beings are and how precious. It's not a comforting way of thinking about the world, but I'd rather face the truth than lie to myself.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to know that your brain exists and everything that you feel, see, perceive, etc. can be found with patterns is correlated with patterns we find in the brain. What is a hexahedron? Samurite. A powerful device fashioned by the designer. One with faith. A cube. Cheap. The edges are beveled. That makes it a decahedron. Always right. Always right. Oh man, you shut up. Don't ever talk to me. You forgot the indents, but the indent's like a super polyhedron. Realist. T7. Lots of characters we've never heard elsewhere. But the convex hull is a decahedron. Topic closed. Oh man. Saying your opinion and then saying topic closed. Wrong, dog. Thing is, yeah, that's the thing about words, is you can always just say something else. Alright, you stop right there. Epitaph. Child program. Codename app is terminated here. Logic. Failed random memory test. Final memory dump. I try again. I cannot understand. I am not enough. Progeny programs error. So it didn't have a progeny. R.I.P. Apis. Alright, now we gotta wait for this one to go by again. Oh! I wanted the box. Oh, I need the box. I thought it would be for a star or something, but no, it's just you have to bring it. Yeah, I'll take it again. One with faith. If the designer is perfect and he designed me for a purpose, I must be fit for that purpose. It follows that my purpose must not be to seek and hoard every sigil in his land, for so many are beyond the faculties he granted me. Yeah, well, knowing later in the story... I guess we don't just use this box to get there. Oh yeah, this is the one where there's a switch over there, and I think it just opens this wall. Well, then there is that. Yeah, knowing what we do about the story, we are not designed to solve the puzzles. We are, we are evolving. We are mutating to be able to solve puzzles better. I do not understand why the designer chose to put such flaws into the world that it appears almost as if it were damaged, but I must believe that there is a purpose here I cannot see. The purpose is that the puzzles... Yeah, there is a purpose. The purpose is the evolutionary purpose for iterations, etc. Alright, so where was this switch? Remember, I searched for it forever first time around. But it goes underneath this wall. It's right here, okay. Ha ha ha! Now I need a laser to come in. Aha! Let's select that and put it right here so we can see it across the world from this one. Oh, it's also... Oh no, that's already connected to a red laser, so let's just get it. There's also that one audio log that we missed. What? Why did it disconnect from this one? Oh, I pressed the wrong button to pick it up. Why are you so slow? Yeah! The stars in this game are so much more fun than the ones in the second game. I wish they had extra, like, break the level puzzles in Talos 2. I guess they wanted it to be more narrative and accessible. Still.
During our early prototype sessions, we were observing how players play the puzzles, and we kind of have seen that they have some issues with the visibility of the devices. Sometimes they would not be able to spot a device in the labyrinth because the environments, the backgrounds were like noisy, busy, you know, just like ivy or just a brick wall, and they wouldn't notice the device. That was really a problem for us because it clashed with our main design goal, and that is always to provide a seamless, enjoyable core gameplay experience. We never make any compromises with the core gameplay loops. It has to be just perfect, so the players would not fight with the devices in any way. They have just to fight and concentrate with the puzzles. Everything else has to be serving that single purpose, so the players would think only about the puzzles. So I believe it was Alan who came up with this idea to use so-called bumblebee color scheme, where we would combine yellows and blacks for the devices. That kind of assured that the devices would stand out clearly in almost any environments. Sometimes you would see yellow, sometimes blacks. It really depends, but they would stand out. And we kind of took this inspiration from real-world industries, where many tools and equipments often uses the same color scheme for better visibility. Once we have colored our devices using this Bumblebee color scheme, we never had any problems. We never observed again that players have hard time finding the devices in the environments.
It's interesting. Also interesting,
Rejoice,
I don't think they did that in the second
you
game.
have fulfilled all your tasks in this land. You have conquered all its guardians and solved all its mysteries. Thus you are appointed its master, and you may do with it as you will.
I'm gonna leave, because I'm done here. Well, this place apparently has a lot of masters because we have many iterations that have come through here before us. We're done. That's the wrong button. Done with the first world.
You have proven yourself worthy, child, and this gate shall be forever open to you. Seek now the other worlds I have given you, that you may attain even greater mastery and bring glory to your kind. But remember, you must not ascend the great tower, for it shall bring death and the end of your generations.
He took out the walkie-talkie! Oh no, there it is. It's still there. Okay. We can figure out how to get there. Oh. Maybe another way? I don't remember if I got this walkie-talkie or if I just saw somebody else get it. Alright, how do we do this? My thought is I gotta go over here and jump. Maybe I can make it? Oh, yeah, easily.
What's happening, Sam? Come on, you're my eyes and ears here.
Sam isn't here. Sam hasn't been here for thousands of years. Why so serious? I don't think there's anything else in here.
The Talos Principle required really extensive testing, and we want every puzzle to be solvable throughout the game development. We had like almost around 100 puzzles, and to playtest through all of this for humans was really tiresome and annoying, and it would take almost 10 hours to go through that. So we tried to automate this process, and we created a playtesting bot, that character that would automatically play through all of the puzzles in fast forward mode. It was a game changer when we did that. We almost didn't test the core game functionality ever from that moment. It actually automated annoying repetitive tasks and drastically cut down the testing time. For example, while a human tester would probably need almost 10 hours for a full playthrough, bot in fast forward could finish the game in just like under 20 minutes, and it would never get bored or tired, while human would go crazy in that time. By running through the game quickly, it would also immediately report any blocking issues. The bot helped human testers to focus on more important and complex tasks. And at the end, we achieved very impressive turnaround times. Like within 1 hour after a code or content change being submitted, we had a bot run through the game and reporting if there are like critical issues or not. And in total, the bot log would equal to about 8 years of full-day human testing. So all of this highlights how efficient and essential the bot was to development of the Talos Principle.
Nice. Alright, so we passed a couple terminals and such. I wanted to get to this one. This tells us about the world. How it's built. Questioning Doubt. By Ensarabai. They say doubt everything, but I disagree. Doubt is useful in small amounts, but too much of it leads to apathy and confusion. No, don't doubt everything, question everything. That's the real trick. Doubt is just a lack of certainty. If you doubt everything, you'll doubt evolution, science, faith, morality, even reality itself. And you'll end up with nothing, because doubt doesn't give anything back. But questions have answers, you see. If you question everything, you'll find that a lot of what we believe is untrue, but you might also discover that some things are true, and might discover, I gave up on her accent, what your own beliefs are, and then you'll question them again and again, eliminating flaws, discovering lies, until you get as close to the truth as you can. Questioning is a lifelong process. That's precisely what makes it so unlike doubt. Questioning engages with reality, interrogating all it sees. Questioning leads to a constant assault on all the intellectual status quo, where doubt is far more likely to lead to resigned acceptance. After all, when the possibility of truth is doubtful, excuse the pun, why not simply play along with the most convenient lie? Questioning is progress, but doubt is stagnation. Yeah, you question your own process of questioning as well, and then what kinds of answers you accept, or what kinds of answers you're looking for, and why you're looking for that kind of answers, and why you're asking the questions you're asking. It can get really deep and really cool and really existentially terrifying. But if you have faith that there is truth and light and goodness at the end, no matter where you go, then you can get through the existential terror and to the amazing, amazing stuff on the other side. Here we go. Bob Rakowski. Hey Alex, I agree that we need something that'll keep all the modules working together, evaluate, and final test. I think I have the perfect solution. It's called the Holistic Integration Manager, a fancy name for something a lot like a dungeon master in pen and paper RPGs. We created it to help run some MMOs back in the day. We needed something that would be able to unite procedurally generated and user-submitted content into a coherent whole so the game wouldn't become too chaotic and inconsistent. It's a genuine AI, somewhat limited in its ability to grow, but capable of parsing and understanding text, images, audio, even video. It takes all the information it can find, interprets it, and then builds and maintains a world based on that. It's not perfect, but we don't have a lot of time, and it would be easy to adapt our code for our purposes. In fact, come to think of it, some of it's actually based on routines that you suggested in that paper. So, does it say L0 somewhere here? Yeah. Hey folks, this is just to let you know that for reasons of convenience and security, this is Rob McLean, we've partitioned EL into two separate systems. The Talos team will be working on EL0, while the Archive team will be working on EL1. You might also notice an EL2 in partition, but don't worry about that, it's just an operating system doing its thing. So, EL0, HIM, ELOHIM, is a dungeon master creating this world by words, images, and videos, and just compiling it together in an environment provided by the coders. So, in other words, these worlds are literally made of words, not just metaphorically. Which is absolute genius storytelling. Okay, we missed another terminal when leaving here. Athena 12. The Council of Zeus. The great bronze bulls pulled the carriage forward, mighty bursts of steam issuing from their nostrils. Finally, they came to the gates at Here assembled were all the many generations of the gods and demigods and souls of mortals, steel and bronze and iron and memory of flesh. The clouds parted far beneath, revealing the beautiful plains of Macedon, were great gleaming cities. So I'm trying to think of what these Athena texts are doing for us. They're all like emotionally evocative description of mythological things, right? So I'm wondering what the thematic connection is for putting those in here. I'm not quite seeing it yet, but it is cool. I feel like it's there. And that's one of the amazing things about interacting with a story, right? Is when you know there's a deeper theme there, but you can't identify it, you can just feel it. And that's really what great artists aspire to, well, many great artists aspire to. You know, that's what I feel in, that's what I felt a whole lot as a child, as a teenager, when I read books. It's like, oh, this is awesome, I'm transported, there's meaning here in this story. And I don't know what it is, I just feel it. And that's what I'm doing what I can to include that in the books that I write and make it feel that way, not just for kids, but also for adults. Because a lot of adult fiction is very, like, logical and transactional. What I mean by that is, like, the characters are, like, in their lives, they're managing their affairs, they're doing business with each other, and like the world or the universe, if it's sci-fi, is very logical and scientific, and it makes sense together. And and oftentimes those stories can be more like a chess match, where the point of the story is to follow the players and understand the rules, rather than being in a mysterious world that feels grander than you can understand. Anyway, back to the text. The fall of the Roman Empire, a dialectical approach. That's one of my favorite words, dialectical. When two things are going back and forth at each other and both growing because of it. Both growing and changing. Homo sum, humani nihil me alienum uto. Human, nothing, alien. I don't know what that means. But interesting as such perspectives of the decline and ultimate dissolution of the Roman Empire may be, they ultimately put too much emphasis on individual catastrophic events. The real question that must be asked is why the Roman Empire, which had dealt with so many threats and catastrophes over the years, was so incapable of responding to these later problems. We must investigate the division of wealth, the structure of government, the location of power in Roman society. Had the Republic survived or been restored, would Rome still have fallen? What was the role of debt and slavery in creating the conditions that we now call the Dark Ages? Rome, the saying goes, was not built in a day. It didn't fall in a day either. Incredibly important to see all to understand anything that happens in the world or history. You can't just look at one thing and be like, oh, it's because of that. You know, it's because this one bad person was elected to the office that's in charge of the country. No. It's a lot more. There's a lot more. Many dimensions. It's how all the systems work together to create the conditions that lead to that person or those people getting into power. They're not just the causes, but symptoms as well of a greater disease. Not necessarily disease, just systems. And the designer has granted me domain over the lands I have traveled, and with his sigils of power, I will make this world my domain. I'll make this world my domain. Hey, he promised me the world as well. What a joke. Assassin 42. I don't think time obeys too many rules here, or so many rules we can't imagine. Clearly, I'm writing this message after you all wrote yours, but maybe we're all here at the same time as well? That message, I got an achievement for this. That message just materialized on the wall in front of me! No, time definitely has meaning here. We gotta go in here because we don't have enough Tetris pieces for the other one. Shall we? Heaven and hell. The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell a hell of heaven. What matter where if I be still the same, and what should I be all but less than he who thunder hath made greater? Is this a real poem by a poet outside the game? Here at least we shall be free. Almighty hath not built here for his envy, will not drive us hence. Here we may reign secure, and in my choice to reign is worth ambition, though in hell, better to reign in hell than serve in heaven. Oh yeah, that's definitely, that might even be John Milton in Paradise Lost. The ancient tradition, William Blake, the ancient tradition, that's another poet. The ancient tradition that the world will be consumed in fire at the end of 6,000 years is true, as I have heard from hell. For the cherub with his flaming sword is hereby commanded to leave his guard at Tree of Life, and when he does, the whole creation will be consumed, and appear infinite and holy, whereas now it appears finite and corrupt. This will come to pass by an improvement of sensual enjoyment. For the first, the notion that man has a body distinct from his soul is to be expunged. This I shall do by printing in the infernal method by corrosives which in hell are salutary and medicinal, melting apparent surfaces away and displaying the infinite which was hid. I don't know if it was William Blake or somebody else. I think it was William Blake with a poem about the world perishing in fire and ice. And he's like, I don't remember the lines, but like, first, he should prefer fire, but if it should perish twice, then I would prefer ice, or something like that. I thought that's what there was going. But I guess it's heaven and hell. Having been through a lot of mental and emotional difficulties, my view is that heaven and hell are states of mind that we can experience while alive on Earth in these bodies. They're not something fantastical after death. They are things that happen while you are alive. Hell is what you fall into if your life crumbles and you don't manage it and you don't build the skills necessary to deal with things and the mental and emotional skills. And heaven is what you get to, is what you're always moving toward when you are building up your life and improving yourself and becoming better in every way that's the best way for you. And it really does feel emotionally over time in a way that I would call spiritually, but if you don't like the word spiritually, you don't have to use it. But I'm going to, in a way that spiritually feels the same as the ideas of heaven and hell after death. What? I have... How? Oh, this is C. Oops. I thought B would be over there. Like, that's the natural way to go, right? Come out of here and then you go around this way. No, no, no. That's only because I am trained as a physicist. I mean, there's a reason it's called clockwise and counterclockwise, and for most people, clockwise is the forward direction, and counterclockwise is the backward direction. Only if you're a mathematician or a physicist is it the other way around. Well, I guess we're getting another terminal. Oxyrhynchus. The great irony of the Oxyrhynchus papyri is that such a vital source of information about the ancient world exists only because of a garbage dump. Oxyrhynchus, that sounds ancient Egyptian, probably. Maybe we're in the Egypt zone. While the Library of Alexandria burned at the hands of fanatics and conquerors, depriving us of unimaginable insights into history, philosophy, and art, the papers carelessly thrown away by the citizens of Oxyrhynchus survived to the modern day. And though it's true that a great deal of what we know today is because of the conscious efforts of individuals and organizations, such as the spectacular translation and preservation of the work done during the Islamic Golden Age, so much more is simply the result of coincidence and luck. We've lost texts that the ancients considered to be absolutely essential, while utterly trivial, even plagiarized work has survived unharmed. Well, let's hope that... Let's keep making records of things off the internet in the modern time, in case the internet gets destroyed or something somehow. So if we want our descendants to remember more than glittering emo vampires and auto-tuned teen pop stars, we have to invest... Oh, yes. I mean, there is a place for glittering emo vampires and auto-tuned teen pop stars, right? Just not in my brain. Book of Osiris. The Book of the Scribe of Osiris, sometimes also referred to as the Book of the Journey to Aru, is an ancient Egyptian text discovered in the excavation of Oxyrhynchus. It caused a certain degree of controversy among Egyptologists, as some argue that it is a classic funerary text such as the Book of Coming Forth by Day, while others believe it to be a poetic work not intended to be understood literally, and also a text adventure in Talos 2. The book tells the story of a dying man who asks the scribe about the afterlife. The scribe, a servant of Osiris, describes how the man's Ka, a life force, will become separated from his Ba, personality, and how he will have to reunite the two and become an Ach, living intellect, passing a series of trials in the Duat underworld, in order to reach the paradise of Aru. Unlike similar texts, the Book of the Scribe of Osiris focuses less on giving advice. A recent study suggests the text may have been intended as a philosophical commentary on the world of the living through the allegory of the Duat. It remains unclear whether this was the intent of the original pre-Alexandrian author or a result of the later translation into Greek. The earlier manuscript, which is considered to be more authentic, is too fragmentary to provide answers, so perhaps further excavation. Yeah, so learning what I know of Egyptian philosophy from this game, it's very different from what we think of in modern times, or even in like Judeo-Christian tradition, Greco, starting in ancient Greece, and the syncretization of culture and religion, if we want that fancy word, coming together of different cultures into what we now know as American conservative Christianity, the only true Christian. What was it? Why did I even bring that up? I forget. Let's do another Tetramino puzzle. Maybe eventually we'll get to some other puzzles. Let's try with not being that way. That's not it. Have to be there. Have we done it? No. Now we've parity shifted it. No, it still didn't work. We'll put that there instead. Nope. That doesn't go there. But down there, that will not work. Maybe it does go up here. There we go. In case the elevator isn't here, what if I...
A new land
Nope.
stands before you, my
Can't
child.
leave fast enough.
And know that this is a land of death, but also great beauty. As you walk amongst these tombs, consider all those who came before you, and how they served the greater purpose of which you are also part.
Yep. Many different cultures, independent, but coming together through history and archaeology and travel and trade. And history is awesome. We don't have enough for the fan yet. We gotta start by going into number 1. And then this frickin' thing.
After we have developed and prototyped the core game mechanics, we wanted to have a setting, a world setting for the game's environments. And we needed something that would serve puzzles and had some strict requirements that gameplay needed, but we also wanted something feeling fresh and exciting. And we danced with this idea of retro future, and we decided to combine these futuristic elements with ancient environments. It may not seem obvious at first that this blend of old and new would work, but it actually created a very unique and captivating atmosphere. The ancient settings offered us a rich way to describe a rich historical backdrop, allowing us to showcase, our appreciation of art and religion, humanity, while the futuristic technology allowed us to introduce and describe a vision of humanity's progress and ingenuity. And I think that actually this contrast created a sense of wonder and curiosity and invited players to explore a world where the past and future can coexist. The result, I think it was very, very immersive and brought out this unique and enjoyable experience.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, crossing ancient...
You may wonder why I have created these labyrinths for you. Why you can reach eternity only through struggle. But have faith, for these trials serve the betterment of your kind.
Yeah, what was that? Oh, yeah. Blend of ancient and futuristic? Hell yeah, that's awesome. Just play any Zelda game. Or not any Zelda game, but Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. Absolutely. Mixing ancient stuff with futuristic stuff is very awesome, and mixing fantasy and sci-fi is something that I absolutely want to do with my books. I mean, I've got... The one I'm working on right now is a space sci-fi that is let's say materialism heavy, because I have, I've used my experience in physics grad school to come up with a theory of hyperspace that I intend to actually write the math for someday. 100% fictional, not actually proposing it for real life. But, like a 6-dimensional space where you can, slip to the side and be carried forward on a conveyor belt. And it has torsional geometry. And that term, torsional, means something specific when talking about space. And I'm using it the way it's intended to. But also, despite the fact that it exists in this scientific world, I also have elements that feel very fantastical. There are beings which are, are they aliens? Are they gods? You can't really know. And then their technology, it's like, is it technology or is it magic? And then bringing up the question of what's beyond the knowledge of science. Science hasn't developed that far yet. Therefore, it's not science, at least not yet. It's something else. And if you don't want to call it magic, well, you still can't call it, you can't call it science to say it's not magic because it's not science yet. if it even can be. So, like, having fantasy elements in sci-fi, but then also I'm thinking of having writing a fantasy book next that has lots of like scientific, mechanical, like very grand Newtonian aspects to it, like giant clock towers or android characters, but also in a fantasy setting. So man, I love mixing and merging. I'm finally getting some sense out of the entity in the archive, though at some cost to my sanity. I'm beginning to think this ELOHIM wields no more control over the world than we do. Cheap. Osiris 1. The dying man went unto the scribe who resided in Promegid, and said, Behold, I am weak of body, and my days under the holy sun of Amun-Ra are coming to an end. Though I have spent my years in service with a damn allergies. Though I have spent my years in service of the two lands, I have not studied the... Tell me, you who are wise in the writings of the dead, what lies ahead on my journey? What will I face in the land of the Westerners? And the scribe spoke, saying, At the appointed time... It's likely the location was changed according to who the copy of the book was made for. The dying man is an avatar of the owner. Oh, that's interesting. In the older manuscript, this is rendered as something else. Some controversy as to whether it... 3. The dead. Compare with Kenti Amentiu, the foremost of the Westerners, a title later given to Osiris. Yeah, who would the Westerners be in Egypt? People from West Egypt, probably. Sometimes mistaken for a mistranslation on Budge's part, this is actually almost certainly a mistranslation of the older manuscript. It is sadly not. Mistranslation by the ancient scribe. The equivalent portion of the older manuscript is sadly not extant. I believe. From context, I think that means available. Or we can't find it. Immortality. Disgruntlemeister's blogstasy. Oh god. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm afraid of dying. I don't see any reason to believe there's an afterlife. I'm an organism like any other. When my brain stops working, my consciousness will cease and I will be gone. And you know what? I just can't embrace that. I can't say I'm okay with it or that I've accepted it or some nonsense like that. I don't want to have an ending. It terrifies me. If I had a genie right now, I'd wish for immortality. Who wouldn't? Oh, but you wouldn't really want to be immortal, the pseudo-philosophers say. Pretentious drivel. Everybody wants to live forever. Maybe everybody deserves to live forever too. But we can't. So here we are. Live with it. Or rather, don't. Yeah, I've definitely found my intellectual peace with the fact that I'm going to die. But you know, you can't know whether you're going, like, you can't know what you're going to feel in the moment. But yeah, me knowing that I am going to die one time, it's just like, it puts it in perspective that I've got to do what I got to do while I'm alive, right? You know, I can't just be waiting forever. You know, and even when I'm blocked from doing things, like I can't do something, or I have to spend my time do something else, just to remember that I'm still alive right now, and to find, and there's a joy in just existing, regardless of whether you're existing in the way that you want to, or experiencing or having what you want. You know, you're still here right now, doing what you're doing now, and that's interesting and beautiful and miraculous. You know, and with regards to dying, the way that I see it is, I am not a unit separate from the rest of the universe. I am the universe. I am the universe given an opportunity to experience and improve itself. And so are you, and so is everybody else. Especially humans. All the animals are able to are the universe able to experience itself. Humans are the universe able to improve itself. And the universe isn't going to be gone when I'm dead. And so that part of me, which is the amazing, beautiful, incredible part, is not going to be dead. Like, the universe is still there, so that part of me is always going to be there. You know, until the heat death of the universe, which is many bajillions of years in the future. And so I'm not worried about it. Oh yeah, got it, lyrics. My new song with lyrics, gotta laugh about this stuff. Laughter's the best medicine. Oh, just imagine this with auto-tune and techno beats. Everybody's got it. Except dog. Alright, that's enough of that. It's just the, you know, that's, oh wow, is it back? Do it again. Oh, so much terminal. I mean, I am here for the commentary and the story and the philosophy, but I haven't been able to do a puzzle in like 30 minutes. I mean, that's culture too, right? That's important stuff. You know, you gotta have the auto-tune, brain-melting, techno pop songs as well, right? Tell me something. You always do as you're told. Yes. Am I obliged to answer that question? No response. No. I only asked because I couldn't help but notice the stash of brightly colored knickknacks you're collecting. Don't you think it's a mite odd that that big voice in the sky keeps telling you to find these doodads, yet forbidding you to use them to climb the great big tower in the middle of it all? You're testing me. I must resist the tower's temptation. I'll climb it when I'm good and ready. Okay, no need to get huffy. You'll be amazed at how many just do as they're told without stopping to think for themselves. But maybe you're different. Then again, maybe you're exactly the same. Maybe everyone climbs the tower, and the only way to win is to stay down here with the mortals. Do you really think so? Are you trying to manipulate me? You really think so? Nope. In fact, I'm all in favor of you poking about up there, if only to see what you find. Must be something juicy if it's forbidden by His Highness. Then again, maybe not. I'll be off then, just wanted to drop in and run a little interference. Whatever you do, do take care. You have bigger problems than the voice in the clouds. You don't like to say his name, do you? I will. Well, let's egg him. And that's the stuff. Oh, Milton. Playing his role as the serpent, the tempter, and the supreme skeptic. Amazing writing.
As soon as Jonas and I came on board, we spent God knows how many months sitting in meetings with Alan and Davor Hunsky, chatting through what the game was going to be. One of the first things we did, what I think writers always do at the start of projects, is we developed like two or three plot pitches, which I think I did a couple and he did a couple, and presented them to Croteam anonymously, I think, for them to pick which one they liked. Now this is where I think Jonas has kind of always been sort of the lead on the Talos games in a way. Like we're equally built on the first two games, this game and Gehenna, and he switched to lead writer, and I just contributed some bits and pieces to Talos 2. But Croteam very much chose Jonas's pitch, and Jonas's pitch was the game as you see it, with ELOHIM and Alexandra, and sticking otherwise pretty closely to what Croteam had said they wanted to do. Where I was at the time was like I was never excited by like the historical and religious stuff in the game. At the time, nowadays I'm a bit more open-minded. I'm a bit more interested in kind of the inherent truth that I think is there in all religions across all of history. But at the time, I was pretty straightforward, simplistic atheist. I was very opposed to. I didn't really see the difference between like organized religion and mythology, I suppose. And mythology is very interesting, and organized religion still scares me a little bit. And so I didn't want to do that. So my plot pitch, it would have been a totally different game, was, if I remember correctly, was I wanted to do like a version of Encarta Mind Maze, for anyone old enough to remember that thing. It was Microsoft's digital encyclopedia back in the days before Wikipedia, and it came with a little like dungeon crawler game where as you progressed through the dungeon you had to answer questions about history and so forth, things that you could research in the encyclopedia. And what I wanted to do was like a future world where there's a big VR internet out there, and there's lots of like old corners of this internet that are kind of abandoned and have been left to like mutate and evolve unchecked over time. And you were a kind of digital Indiana Jones sent back into Encarta Mind Maze to find out what the hell is going on, which I still think is a very cool idea, but I'm glad we did what we did because it's very cool. And once we'd chosen the general plot direction, it was about distributing responsibilities. Like Jonas very clearly was writing his ELOHIM and his Alexandra and the written texts. Originally, I was going to do a bunch of the written texts. I think in the final game, I wrote about 3 of them because, well, partly I was so busy writing Milton, and partly Jonas. This is to his credit and his detriment. He's very prodigious. He writes a lot, and sometimes I felt it's almost as a writing team. It's kind of a form of passive-aggressive, like when you're writing so much that it feels like there's no more space. I love you, Jonas. You did fantastic text. But I'm not sure I ever had, I think I scanned them once, but I wouldn't, as a player, I wouldn't have the patience. That's me. That's subjective. Very subjective. One thing I learned in my career is when I love something in a game that I'm working on, usually other people will love it too. When I hate something in a game that I'm working on, I'm usually like one of the only ones. And I've very much learned that lesson. So from there, it was very clear that my responsibility was going to be the interactive text in the terminals. I think we both, Jonas and I, were very happy because we both felt like we drew the long straw on this. He really wanted to do the voice, and I really wanted to do the text-only dialogue trees. And actually, the name Milton, I'm pretty sure came from him. I'm not sure any of us remembers the exact process anymore, but somehow or other, we arrived at this idea of this sort of digital devil who was a foil to ELOHIM, and that's where I went, and that is what I will talk about next.
And it worked excellently. Yeah, that's kind of my own process about religion as well. I was raised very, very Christian. Like, my community was like 100% Christian and went to church every Sunday and believed the stories metaphorically and literally from the Bible. And then I went through a phase, having gone to college, where I started learning science and how to logically determine things about the world around me, using observation and data. And I was like, wait a minute, none of this religious stuff holds up. And so I became like a very staunch atheist for a few years. But then me being me, I'm like, I always want to think about the meaning of life and questioning everything. And so over the years, I've come to a place of an appreciation of religions and cultures and, you know, Christianity, but also other religions and all religions, and seeing stories not as literal accounts of history that are meant to be either true to what actually happened or false, but as metaphorical descriptions of the human experience, of our relationship with life and death. And, you know, as a storyteller myself, I love metaphor. You know, the idea of wrestling with God as being a metaphor for struggling with my place in life, and why am I here instead of where I want to be, and you know, why do I have the skills and talents that I do, and why are these chance things happening to be, and just calling all those ideas and wrapping them together in the label, in the idea of wrestling with God, just works. It works. And yeah, so like particularly a sci-fi and fantasy writer, I'm also thinking of making up my own religions, but not just making them random, but like trying to give them metaphorical depth so that they feel like real religion. Did I read this? I just don't understand this one. I figured I'd try to make some progress here, but honestly, it's such a thankless task compared to what else is out there. Oh, ye of little brain. I'm setting this up because I think there might be another one that needs this on the other side. And another thing about religion is it's very often descriptions of things that we haven't figured out yet. Like we have to deal with our niche in society, the social systems around us, economic systems, and ecosystems, and those things. I mean, humans, we didn't have logical understanding of those things forever. We only had religious understanding of those things. And the natural world and life and the universe, we only had religious understanding of those for a long time. But there's still things that we don't have scientific understanding of. We only have religious, mythological, metaphorical understanding of. And many things still, religious language is the best language we have for using it. Like I use the word spiritual to mean things, to mean like ways of living and perceiving the world, and constructing worldviews and interacting with others and finding meaning in life and struggling with sadness and fear and joy and pleasure. I think the word spiritual is the best word that we have for that, and I am perfectly happy to use it. I made a box float! Seriously, it was awesome! Well, we need a box before we can do that.
This puzzle uses the same connector redundancy the players learned in Quantum Entanglement, which maybe isn't as obvious at first, but this time it should be a lot easier to solve.
Yeah, because we learned the same logic before. Hey, I see a thing up there. How do we get there? Man, I know why I didn't think I could jump that far. It's because I've been playing Dark Souls. The jumping in Dark Souls it's not a platformer. Let's just say that. Dang it. That's not a box. I think there's a way you can like get on top of these walls. There was in the original. Or there was definitely a way that you could hop on these pillars. Oh, maybe not in here. Maybe in a different way. You're back again? Hello again. I've been checking your responses against the library archives, and in order to assist you further, I need some additional information. Can you tell me what is to you the most important difference between a pebble and a tree? A tree is heavier, a pebble is older, a tree is alive. We'll say the tree is alive. Good. Now what's the relevant difference between a tree and a frog? A frog is green. A frog is a frog is delicious. I want to do... Right, because you get to say frogs are people in this one, right? I suspect you're trying to make this more difficult than it already is. A frog is conscious, but a tree is not. Okay, so he does continue on. A 5-year-old could handle this. But I'm not a 5-year-old, I'm a 5-hour-old. Let's try something harder. What's the difference between a frog and you? What makes you a person? I have feelings, I'm self-aware, I'm rational. Nothing important. Frogs are people too. I did this one last time, as did most people probably. I'm self-aware. I am rational. So he wants me to pick rational, right? Man is the rational animal, the famous quote from one of the Greek philosophers, Plato or Aristotle. I don't know. I still can't tell the difference between them. I would say I'm self-aware. I don't know if frogs are self-aware. Exactly. Oh. That's a valid answer too. And it seems you were on the right track more or less all along. Let us take stock. I think we can tentatively conclude two things. A person must be rational or self-aware. A person must be conscious. What I suggest we do to help resolve your problem is ask whether you are in fact those things. Are you aware of yourself? Can you rationalize your existence? Yes. I tend to agree with you, though your responses so far have been a little eccentric. I am resigned to admit that you are right. The matter of whether you or not you are conscious seems rather more elusive. What is consciousness in your opinion? Oh, I love this one. Consciousness is what separates us from animals? No. Consciousness is what it's like to be me. That would be my definition, yep. Consciousness is the feelings and senses. That's also true. Consciousness is far outside my area of expertise. No. What it's like to be me. That hardly answers the question. What is it in ordinary terms? Can I touch it? What is it made of? You can't touch it, you're a text generator. Consciousness is made of neurons. No. Consciousness is another word for the soul. No, I don't think so. I consider the soul to be something that is not consciousness. It's one of these words that spiritual/religious language is just better than scientific language is. So it's like your combination of your hopes and your aspirations and fears and desires and the drive that pushes you toward and away from those things, that contends with those things. Basically, yeah. And it's essentially different for you than it is for everyone else just because it's so complicated. It's like snowflakes or you know, it's why every individual person is different. But it's not consciousness though. Consciousness, in my view, is awareness. It is perception. It is experience. Consciousness is a complex functional system. This is the one that I'll say. And neurons are one such complex functional system. Interesting. you know, I really feel like we're making progress. We'll have you through that certification program in no time. Yeah, you have to know the answers. You have to know all the answers to the philosophical questions before you can be considered a person. In the meantime, I'll mull over your proposal and notify you if I come to any conclusions. Alright, so we didn't talk about whether tin cans and the tide are conscious yet, which I have different things to say this time than I did last time. Let's do another puzzle. Maybe this one, because there might be a star here. Let's look up, let's hop onto these to see if there's anything over here. I think we can get a box out of one of these. Perhaps? Oh hey, look, another commentary. And another terminal. Let's do the terminal first. Mutation. The role of mutation in evolution is particularly fascinating. Mutation is essentially an error in the organism's central database. A variable gets changed, a piece of information is accidentally doubled or combined with another. Most of the time, the result is the equivalent of a bug, causing anything from minor problems to complete system shutdown, i.e. death. But sometimes the new information is functional, giving the organism an advantage against all the challenges it faces, in which case it has a much higher chance of being passed to the next generation. If you consider how unlikely a beneficial mutation is, and how long it takes for such a mutation to propagate, this process can give you an amazing insight into just how vast the genetic history of each living organism. Simultaneously, it is intriguing to consider what a major role random errors have played in the evolution of life itself. The same process that has killed so many of us, often in horrific ways, is also responsible for our very existence. You know, I am not a biologist, but I think that I suspect that evolution has found ways to search for and find beneficial mutations, or to appropriate different types of mutations in beneficial ways, right? Like one thing that's really big in biology now is epigenetics. There's the ability for genes to switch on and off, and for those switches to be passed down to the next generations. And DNA is a holistic system. It's not like computer code where like you have this one piece of code here, and then it does one specific task, and then it goes on to the next code which does one specific task, and then it loops for a specific amount of times and has a specific parameter that tells it when to stop looping. DNA is like everything affects everything, and one change like affects a whole bunch of other changes. And then the epigenetics turning on and off like makes new combinations of stuff that do new things together. And my reasoning for why I think evolution probably searches for and has ways of finding beneficial mutations is because if such a strategy were found, it would survive natural selection, right? So if it is possible for DNA code to search out beneficial mutations, then it will have evolved, right? That after all these 4 billion years or whatever, it will have evolved by now. I don't know what that process is. I don't think anybody has found it in DNA, but if it's possible within the realm of potential DNA coding, then it exists, right? We've had so much time, we've had so many billion years to find it. So I do think that's probably the case. And I can say that because I am not a biologist, and biologists would get mad at me, but I don't care because I don't have to pass their peer review. Have I read this? I've read all of it. Yeah. Evolution.html by George Jameson. One of the common misunderstandings about evolution, sometimes accidentally promoted by people who should know better, is that it's an active process. Sometimes the term evolved is even applied to individual beings, as if some invisible force had driven them to suddenly change. But the truth is that individuals don't evolve. The term evolution describes a long-term process that can be observed in an entire population across time due to stuff. For example, in response to an external threat or challenge. If an individual coincidentally has a trait that allows it to deal with that challenge more effectively than others, it is more likely to pass on that information to its descendants. That information gives them an advantage, so over time they become the dominant model of that species. The individuals experience no significant genetic change during their lifetimes, but each of them is part of the evolution of the species. Yeah, it's not that we experience no genetic change during our lifetimes, it's just epigenetic change. And epigenetic changes can be passed on. It's not addition or subtraction, it's not changing our DNA. It's still the same DNA, it's just the switches of which parts are on and which parts are off. But yeah, the code as a whole, that has to take time, thousands of generations to make significant changes. Capacity. From Trevor to Alexandra. Yeah, no worries. EL is not only ridiculously fast, it also has a bazillion tons of space. Even while hosting a full copy of the archive, it'll totally be able to handle all your project's data needs, assuming its output is as you suggested. I mean, the worst case scenario would be like centuries. That should be enough, right? Right? Oh, Trevor. I'm glad you got expanded in the second game, even if I didn't like you at first.
One important thing when designing music for any game is choosing the instrumentation. So what type of instruments are going to be played in that music? And I guess it was logical for the instrumentation, so we quickly established that we wanted each of the 3 locations to have certain specific sounds and instruments that would fit what the player was seeing on screen. And those 3 settings were Roman, medieval and Egyptian. So selecting instruments was actually very easy, except for the Roman area, where I decided to use the piano as one of the main instruments. And it was mostly because I consider this Roman civilization one of the most advanced civilizations of the past. And having such a classical instrument as a piano felt very appropriate for that part. For the Egyptian part, there is an Armenian reed instrument which I'm obsessed with ever since I heard it in the Gladiator soundtrack, and it's called duduk. Duduk sounds simply fantastic. It's some sort of mixture of saxophone, clarinet, mixed with oriental vibes. And I loved it so much that I decided to keep that duduk in the sequel, the Talos Principle 2 soundtrack as well. The medieval parts introduced stringed instruments, like lute, guitar, and some more prominent orchestral elements. But the unique thing that glues all this area music together is the compositional style of the music. Each area has its own style, and if you pay any attention to the music throughout the game, I'm sure you'll be able to notice that.
Oh yeah, definitely notice the style. Is the duduk the... I didn't hear what he said about it. I don't know what instrument it is. Is that what's playing right now? He said he kept it for Talos 2. I don't remember Talos 2 sounding like the Egyptian zone though. Maybe he played it in different ways. There are hidden dangers in this new world. I have inexplicably escaped death any number of times. I suggest vigilance. Who knows what happens to those who step carelessly too often? Samsara 72. Third wheel. Any more? There is, yeah.
So this puzzle over the fence We actually made it to teach players about writing cubes on mines. We had to do this because when people got to Road of Death puzzle later on, a lot of them just couldn't figure that mechanic out on their own.
Yeah, I mean, see it with the box on top, I guess it makes sense. Should just be able to grab this from the other side, right? No? I stuck? The prompt appeared. I love the rewind. Nope, keep going. I love rewind in a puzzle game. Let's go. So I have been trying to brainstorm ideas for puzzles. I've accepted the fact that my puzzles are not going to be like groundbreaking or anything, especially with a community of dedicated puzzle makers. This person's penis just hanging out? Anyway, the idea that I thought of is one that, I suppose you won't mind. If you don't want to be spoiled about it, then skip ahead a little bit. But body blocking lasers. Because I feel like that's something that, I mean, I used it in one puzzle for a non-intended solution in the Talos 2 DLC, in the one that's super, super hard, where I cheesed a few puzzles because I couldn't figure out the actual solution. But yeah, I feel like that's a potential mechanic that was just never used. And so I think maybe that's like a theme that I could base my puzzles around. Okay. Now that I have two of these, we can spread these out. And I mean, now that I have three of these, oh, okay, never mind. Can we see? Oh yeah, very much. Not a problem. Perspective. Hey, we can get the fan now. One more in this world. We got all the stars, I think. Might be some Easter eggs. Road of Death. Oh, this is the one they were preparing us for. Wait, no, we can't get across just by riding on top of this. Can we? Oh, right, do I put this on top, and then I want to, oh no, I have to be jamming this. I want to put this on top of you, right? Yeah, those things would definitely shoot me if I'm up there. Alright, I think I need the box on the other side. Is that it? I can always look, right? It's okay to look. Samsara 72.2. Child program 72.1. Samsara terminated here. Program timed out. Final memory dump. But I only I was stuck. What was I see clouds. Samsara 72.2 progeny. Is sad. I mean, but every generation that came before us had to die and give us their code, right? What's that? Oh, hey. Number.
Cease! In the time of your ancestors, there were those who did not choose the path of faith. You do not need to fear their ghosts. Fear only that you may become like them.
Yep, the world is full of terror. And part of maintaining sanity and finding meaning in life is building yourself up so that you can accept it. Rather than being shocked and surprised and destroyed by it. Alright, let's get ourselves a fan. Alright, here we are for 10 hours while I figure out how to solve this. Oh wait, these are reverse of each other. Oh. Ah, so not quite. No, there we go. Whoa. The mouse aiming gives me motion sickness. We got a fan! I'm a fan of this game. I'm standing on nothing. Because maybe I'm standing on glass. Let's hop into World 2. Until we get enough things to unlock the recorder, then we'll hop into World 7. This is not enough.
You have solved many of the mysteries of this land. The road before you is still long and many gates remain closed. But take comfort in your accomplishment and in your creator's pride.
I like this world. The moon. You see it? Right there? I remember. There's also, this is where the electric sheep, counting electric sheep Easter egg was. One with faith, I have come to see that these mysteries are not all for his children to solve. Only the designer himself could ever truly understand the infinite complexity of his creation. I will gaze at his work and worship. Well, in some ways, you're wrong. In other ways, it's true for all artists and creators. Not just the deific ones. Alright, we have a computer to talk to. Science magic. Though the term science has only meant what it does for around 600 years, its practice far predates that name. There's evidence of pre-Aristotle which indicates soothsayers, mystics, and the like may have employed basic scientific methods to predict the future and confound their benefactors. One anecdote concerns a palm reader who was exposed when two wealthy clients compared their readings and found them to be identical. In the 1948, the tendency to discover deep personal meaning in vague descriptions delivered authoritatively was given a name, the Forer effect. Today it is recognized in all contemporary psychological theory. What's that have to do with science, though? Well, psychology theory, never mind. Weight loss. Yeah, I was thinking of like collecting data and finding trends in equations. That's what I was thinking of scientific. But I gotta remember there's social sciences and life sciences as well, which, you know, they do take data, but they also have other ways of doing it. And then other disciplines that could be considered scientific, like analytic philosophy, just don't have data. There's a lot. Science is not just one method, it is many methods. It's the disciplines, the best developed methods each discipline has developed to study what it studies. Weight loss blog. Oh man, if there's one thing that's good about inevitable death, it's the food. Yeah, baby. I'm gonna have all the horribly unhealthy food in the world. I'm gonna feast on jelly bananas like a crazy monkey on Monkey Christmas. And you know those muffins that have so much chocolate, they're basically melting? That's gonna be my breakfast. And burgers for lunch. I'm gonna have burgers so greasy you could use them to lubricate a whole factory. Triple bacon burgers with double cheese and extra onions and mayonnaise and ketchup and mustard and big fat juicy patties. And then oily thick pizza with spicy salami and barbecue sauce and olives and jalapenos and sour cream. Food coma, here I come. I mean, if you know the world's gonna end, what do you do with the time you have left? I don't know what I would do. Sometimes I think I would write faster. Sometimes I think I would try harder to finish my book. Even though I know nobody's gonna be there to read it. I guess that's how I know I'm supposed to be a writer, right? Arcady Journal 81. Fascinated by Drennan's project. Lovely conversation, read Talos Principle. Greek philosophy, relevance to current situation. Suggested naming Project Talos. Drennan refused, but the name seems to have caught on with the team. Tens of thousands of files coming in every hour. Our whole history. So that's when we pivot. The team pivoted. I think they pivoted, right? From what they were doing to preserving humanity. But I don't remember what they were doing originally, if they did. Let's look for some other QR codes before we step into that audio log. Oh, another actual audio log. Timepiece.
I keep having these dreams. Great empty cities. Silent roads stretching for miles. The Earth from space. All dark. Not a single light to guide me home. But if someone really came from another world, what would the Earth look like to them? A wilderness? A wasteland? I don't think so. Even after thousands of years, they'd see a world shaped by our hand in every aspect of its being. They'd see the cities and the roads, the bridges, the harbors, and they would say, here lived a race of giants. These dreams, they scare me, but they also remind me that we built all of this.
And that theme was explored more in Talos 2. Alright, let's paint a message. I have no idea what's going on, do you? The certification program is a sham. What does a computer know about humanity? Well, you're one to talk. The tools to overcome this place have been provided to us. We need only to learn how to use them. Have you tried crossing the laser beams? Am I going crazy, or do the computer terminals have a personality? I'm not the first one to undertake these trials. That much is clear. If you're reading this, then neither will I have been the last. I mean, we could also... like, some people I've seen in other playthroughs will, like... or having read... I don't know if I've seen them write these, but... we'll, like, get places, like, on top of a statue and then place it up there. Be like, hey, I was here. I got here. And last time I got the option to write frogs are people too. Just put something on. Have you tried crossing the laser beams? I feel weird getting achievements for this because I already got a bunch of achievements in the first game. I don't think I got all of them. No. It involves like you have to do multiple playthroughs to get all of them. So, man on the moon. I see a man on the moon. It's teaching you how to do the fans. I mean, do these take you to different places? No. Gonna hop over with a fan. Oh, that was easy. Is this a place where you can stand on top of these and get something out? I feel like it is. I like once drop a box up there and then yeah, these are set up so that you can jump and walk across them. I don't remember how to do it though. I think I might have to reset the puzzle to try again. I think it involved like dropping a box on top? Using a specific fan? Like, where will this take me? No. I don't want to stand right there. This will take me right above here, so that's no good. Where will this take me? It'll take me right above here, so that's no good. Oh, I thought what I did was no, it's just putting me right here, I guess. I thought what I did was drop a box and then pulling myself and hit the box so that I stop moving. Maybe I can put the box somewhere over here and jump on something. I'm 90. Oh yeah, of course. You can get up there. Look through that thing. It's just a matter of figuring out how. May not be from inside. Oh, that was me. Alright, did I listen to... we just looked around.
Right, so casting Elohim was quite complicated because at that time, I hadn't really learned to work with Croteam. Croteam hadn't really learned to work with me. That kind of experience working with each other is a very important part of any kind of art form, and we were just still in the early stages of that. And the company didn't have that much experience with voice acting. I was a new guy. So this led to a couple of early kind of teething difficulties. Elohim's language is very heavily based on the King James Version of the Bible, and that means that, in my opinion, we really needed an English voice actor who just had the right way of speaking, really. It's very hard to exactly explain why it sometimes works and why it sometimes doesn't, but in this case I just knew from the beginning that this would just not sound right if it was an American. So we did early on have an American voice actor who played the character, and it didn't work. And it had nothing to do with the actor, because the actor was perfectly fine. It didn't match. It didn't gel. So I think at that point there was a little bit of fear that the narration just sucked, that it was a writing problem, which was scary for me. I'm the new guy at the company. It's like suddenly nobody likes it. Like, okay, what now? So what I ended up doing is I recorded myself performing it with a really crappy microphone. And although my voice isn't right in any way for the part, but I can get the sort of cadence of it right, because when I write, I tend to speak the lines. I try to look for the melody of the lines, so I know how to perform it, even though it sounds ridiculous. And I managed to create a version of it, and then people listen to it, and they're like, oh, okay, now I get the character. Now I see that this works. So then we went to casting, and we found Tim, and his audition immediately stood out. I think there were actually a couple of more famous actors in that audition, but they weren't right for the part. And Tim has a kind of vulnerability that he brings to ELOHIM that makes you not hate him, but actually kind of sympathize with him, even when he's being a bit unpleasant. He brings a humanity to the part that was really interesting. And so we cast him, and I think the rest is pretty much history. He's been playing this character for a very long time. He's played him in very interesting variations as ELOHIM has evolved, as the, in Talos 2 and the DLC and all that. And it's been wonderful. And a fun fact that I wanted to add is that Tim told us he in fact has a very deep love and connection to the Greek island of Crete. And of course, that's where Talos is from. There's even a Talos streak. So that's an interesting little echo there.
Well, he is the perfect voice. I mean, the first time I played this game, him and Alexandra's voice actor, they're obviously right. Like, they are the characters, right? So, I mean, I could gush over it for a long, long time. Is it still the same thing? Different phase of the moon, but it's not the moon because you can see the stars behind it. What's that blinking? Is that Wheatley up there? It's Aperture Science. Oh, it's great. Okay, now we can go into this one because we can get the thing right away. Higher ground.
Late in development, we wanted to provide some assistance for players stuck in puzzles, so we introduced textual hints that requires players to find a token. The system worked well for simpler puzzles that required single eureka moment, but it was ineffective for more complex puzzles, which involved multiple challenging steps. It was difficult to pinpoint where players got stuck and even harder to explain complex solutions with sentences. In our original implementation, we successfully covered early important puzzles that taught basic concepts, which were crucial for understanding later more complex puzzles. So, despite its flaws, we retained this hint system. However, many years later, we improved it in Talos Principle 2, allowing players to exchange found tokens
Can we
for
hear this one
puzzle
already?
prizes. New hint system is much more accessible and universal as it works in any puzzle. We have now implemented this improved system in this remake, bringing the process full circle.
Where am I going? I want to go through here, and then through that other one. I got the same commentary in twice. I guess the first time it was in a simple puzzle, and the second time it's in a complex puzzle. Yeah, how are you gonna give a hint for this? It's like aim where you can from outside, or from each find all the locations you can aim jammers, and see what combinations you can do them in. Okay, I need to now go that one. Get through the gate. Oh, this one's a full-on. Can I get that one? Yeah. This was a full-on, like, mini dungeon. Right, now, I think we gotta take the middle jammer in here. Codename One with Faith terminated here. Logic worshipped the designer for many days, then allowed the serpent into its heart. Final memory dump. I asked the designer for my forgiveness, that I may join him in the eternal memory project programs at Samsara Sheep. Ah, so One with Faith was an ancestor. I guess someone met their end here. Seems we're all connected somehow, like distant family relations. Different versions? Different series? What are we? Who cares? Just be grateful we don't have to read anything more about a Greek designer. The Greek. Alright, so we gotta bring our thing in here. We gotta bring that one in there, which means we have to first bring it in here. So instead of this one jamming that, we have to jam those two with these. I think we can get both of them. Yeah. There's the one. Oh, that was already jammed. Okay. There we go. This was easier than I thought it would be. No. It's exactly what I thought it would be. Because we have to use... Because we can't finish. We have to jam this, and now we have to take one of these to jam something on the other side. There. And then we've already separated the bombs, so we don't have to worry about those. Now I can take this. Man, having played all the games so far has really, like, just helped me to... Oh no! You have to... Huh. Okay, we're not quite ready for that yet. Gotta go through here with it, I guess. But yeah, I come to this puzzle and I'm like, oh yeah, we just do the thing, this and this and this and this, and then we're done. And when it's... Oh no, I gotta keep that one open again. From here. Eh. So it seems the worlds in... Or the levels in this world are longer than the first world. No, that's not at all what I meant. There are more puzzles in each mini-world than in the first world. Because... Oh, maybe not. Alright. Jam it. Now we switch our others. That one over there. There we go. Now we should be ready. Wait, what did I hit? If it wasn't this one, what was it? What's it jamming? Oh, nothing. Now it's jamming. Okay. Made the sound, but it didn't work. Let's go. Yeah. Red puzzle wins. Wait, where's the way in? Where's the door? Aha. Yeah, so this viewer up here, I think it's looking at the moon. Don't worry about getting all the Easter eggs. Ah, you're back. Here's what I've been wondering while you're off carrying out commandments. You say that consciousness is some kind of functional system. Arrange bits of matter in the right order and out springs sentience. That's all very well on paper, but what if what counts is what something does, not what it's made? If what counts is what something does, not what it's made of, then couldn't you and I design a series of tin cans on strings that qualified as being consciousness? Why, yes, I think so. And the reason I think so is because consciousness I see as a pattern, not as the stuff, not as the medium or the substrate. You know, it's like a wave, right? The wave is not the water, it's a pattern on the surface of the water, right? So, sound is not air, it's vibrational patterns traveling through the air. You know, and I see I believe, because again, beyond current knowledge of science, but I believe consciousness is the same thing. It doesn't matter what it's made of, just what it does. What a bizarre idea. I'll send you a notification when the signposts start complaining. Seriously though, are the tides and ecosystems sentient as well? Any organized system qualifies? Last time, I said this. This time, I'm gonna say this. Because I don't see why not. I know it's like outside of what we think of as reasonable, but why would we think that brains being conscious and complex systems outside of brains not being conscious, why would we think one of those is reasonable and the other's not? We don't have any reason to. So I think I don't know about the tides. The tides are pretty simple, but I mean maybe I just don't know enough about the tides to realize how complex they are. But ecosystems, yeah. I mean, you've got a rainforest that's got millions of species going around in it. The information is being transferred in the form of like food, nuts being stored, creatures going from place to place, finding food, preying on each other, the water going through. I don't see, I mean, it's not the same type of sentient as being alive is. I mean, as being a living organism with DNA and a brain is, but that doesn't mean it's not conscious at all, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if ecosystems are conscious. I wouldn't be surprised if the stock market is conscious. I wouldn't be surprised if the weather is conscious. And some of these things would be not nearly as modular as life forms, but could be like it's more conscious in this area and then less conscious, so like its consciousness is spread out or weaker in other areas, or consciousness is weird. And our human understanding of consciousness is very like rooted in our narratives of identity and family and nationality and niches and jobs. And so we tend to just assume that consciousness is made of units. Like, there's a person, and they got a body, and then I got a brain, and that's one package, and then that's a... You draw a boundary around that, and consciousness is inside that boundary, and not outside, and it's a unique object. I don't think that's how consciousness is. I don't think consciousness is made of objects. I think consciousness is, like, concentrated in some places and spreads out. And, you know, I think consciousness... I would like to believe that consciousness doesn't have boundaries, that it continues out, and every exchange of information of any kind is a conscious connection. I say I would like to believe because I have no evidence of that, obviously, and it's not scientific, but it's not anti-scientific either. So, sure. You're quite mad, I'm sure of it. Of course, the alternative...
I know not the deceiver slithering through the hidden words. His wisdom is hollow and born of despair. Do not let him tangle you in his webs of delusion. Have faith in me, and his petty illusions will fall away like nightmares in the morning's light.
S-tier voice acting. Especially after saying that. No, I want to read this. You're quite mad, I'm sure of it. Of course, the alternative accounts are all so ridiculous you'd be forgiven by any reasonable observer for choosing the best of a bad bunch. How consciousness can be so intimately familiar to you, yet so obscure, I just don't understand. Don't mind him, he's just worried that if you ask too many questions, you'll start to see through his shtick. Stick with me, and the sky will quite literally be the limit. At any rate, I'd like you to think a bit harder about all this and get back to me. I'm sure there's still progress to be made. Yeah, I would like to believe that the whole universe is swimming in consciousness of some kind or another. Maybe not narrative telling consciousness, maybe not like awareness in the same sense that we're aware, but some kind of consciousness, some sense that there is something it's like to be the wind, or a star, or a planet, or a tree, or an ecosystem, or a stock market, or a city. You know? It's a wonderful idea, and I see no evidence for why it's not true, so I'm gonna be happy to wonder at it. You know, of course, leave open the idea for doubt, but it's like, this is not something that I feel like I have to believe the truth about, right? I feel like it's more... It's something that it's like... It's a mystery. And it's a mystery where the answer could be something incredibly wonderful and astonishing and incredible and beautiful. And, you know, acknowledging that is enough. Man, now I'm just seeing penises every time I look around here. Okay, so I get that I'm supposed to retrieve these sigils. I just don't get why. Sure, the loud voice is telling me to, but this world of his has no context, no purpose, and no foundations from which to connect them. Just construct them. You're incorrect, you just don't see it. It's evolutionarily about preserving humanity, which of course you don't know what it is because you just woke up here. I'm convinced that there are answers here if we look hard enough. We have to work together on this. So yeah, knowing the ultimate end of the game and the nature of this world, it is kind of amusing, the theme of materialism, how nothing in this world that we're playing in is actually material. It's all simulated. I mean, there's the material substrate of the computers it's running on, but like the philosophy of materialism just doesn't hold up in this this simulation. Oh, is this the one where we can get a jammer out? Isn't there like a here? Aha. Don't we need a jammer and then like a connector too? Does this open with, yeah, it does. Okay. Is it just one puzzle in here? I thought there were a bunch of puzzles. Okay. I'm fine with that. I remember I struggled with this one the first time around. I think it's just a matter of using your tools to get stuff as far as you can. Alright, so here we go. Let's pull out the jammer and the connector. And hopefully we don't need more. Ah, yes. I think I need 2 connectors actually. Let's bring it back in. And did I leave the one aiming at the moon? Okay, yeah, so we have a connector ready to connect. So yeah, that's the first time I think I've talked about my beliefs or hopes of consciousness on this channel. Let's see. Do we get another connector? Yeah. You know what? Since it's already here, let's just finish. Just finish it. Where's the... there it is. Oh, can I not... oh, I can't. Well, why am I so confused? Why'd I have trouble with this? Maybe it was because I thought you had to get here with a laser the first time. Oh, we could open that way. We could also open by going back. Alright, you jam from this side. Get everything out. That's one. And here's a connector. And then the other one. We could also bring these connectors all the way out of the puzzle if we wanted to. There we go. Here we are. Let's just make sure we can block lasers. Okay. That's the star. And we make it. Ah, oh. So a thing that a lot of platformers do is they have something called coyote frames, where if you step off the edge, you still have a few more frames where you're able to jump, so that things like this don't happen. Ah. I'm pressing the wrong button. It is... oh, this is weird on the hands. Left thumb to go forward, hold right trigger to run, and then press A with the right thumb to jump. Oh, is it still here? Guys, we're about to We're about to have to answer the age-old question. Androids do dream of electric sheep. I lost count. How many are there? Yeah. Yeah. You know, and I think that is a great place to end this episode. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you next time. Bye.